The things that I'm going to tell you about today are horrendous, but the flip side of it is some of the things that the New World Order and the Illuminati know, if they were put to good use, would be fantastic. But if you saw what I've seen, it would make you angry that these people are taking what could be used for the elevation of mankind, and they're using it to enslave us.
Evil men have already divided up the world into regions, and they've got it all planned. They want to rule the world. Their goal is to reduce the population to 500 million, with a few of them as the right, the elite get to rule the world. God has plans for the world, and so does Satan. And Satan's plan is no people here, maybe just a few, and a one-world government. The Bible says perilous times shall come. The people will be fierce, despisers of those that are good. Christians are going to be absolutely hated.
Task will be to develop an overall strategy for America in this period when really a new world order can be created. It's a great opportunity, and it isn't such a crisis.
We know the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm?
But we have one question. During the crisis, or any time that you're aware of, has the Federal Reserve or Treasury participated in any gold swaps arrangements?
The Federal Reserve does not own any gold at all. We have not owned gold since 1934.
You fired me once again! Not with these plans, which hitherto have fought from regions where I reign.
Which passages from Scripture should guide our public policy? Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay? That eating shellfish is an abomination. Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith. Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application?
Okay, now my readings have told me, for what it's worth, that some of us will be able to have ascended abilities. I mean, full-on ascended abilities prior to the actual shift happening. So that would be very cool, because what we're expecting after 2012 is a 100 times more harmonious utopian world. Things like time travel, levitation, instant telepathy, instant healing, telekinesis are as common as everyday breathing.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
I want to tell you about a few of the things that I have learned during these last 5 years of intensive research. Perhaps the most startling thing that I can share with you is that all of the conspiracy theories that you've ever heard about one world government, about the UN takeover of the world, all of those conspiracies have now been laid to rest. There's nothing conspiratorial about it. It's all published. The UN-funded Commission on Global Governance began meeting in 1992 in earnest and met for 4 years, and last fall released their final report. It is entitled Our Global Neighborhood.
If the Bible is simply a book of myths, fairy tales, and stories, then it is disturbingly accurate in describing what we see unfolding in our current world climate. In my personal journey, I've come to the conclusion that the biblical worldview best explains the origin of evil and its many symptoms to mankind. It explains human suffering and the inescapable reality of death and decay that we experience in this world. But most importantly, it reveals why mankind has used deception as its most powerful and reliable instrument to carry out the plan set in motion by an ancient hate.
Peace, peace, family. Your boy G Consciousness. Today's message deals with the New World Order. We back at it once again. I just want to play something back real quick because I think that it needs to get heard again before we go into the show and then introduce the panel. I don't know if y'all just heard that clip that I played at the ending, but let me play this again.
To achieve the universal aspirations of mankind, peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
This is the promise given to the inner members of the New World Order and the agenda of the Bilderberger Group, set in motion by an ancient hate.
Years of intensive research. Perhaps the most startling thing that I can share with you is that all of the conspiracy theories that you've ever heard about one world government, about the UN takeover of the world, all of those conspiracies have now been laid to rest. There's nothing conspiratorial about it. It's all published. The UN-funded Commission on Global Governance began meeting in 1992 in earnest and met for 4 years, and last fall released their final report. It is entitled Our Global Neighborhood.
If the Bible is simply a book of myths, fairy tales, and stories, then it is disturbingly accurate in describing what we see unfolding in our current world climate.
Alright, right there. I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna deal with that. Now, if y'all noticed, first thing he said that for this book, for the people to say it's a myth, fairy tales, and stories, he said that it is disturbingly accurate on what we see unfolding in our worldwide climate. That's very important because we see a lot of these things that they say myth coming into reality. From myth to reality. Now, me personally, if I start to see something like that, immediately it sends off a red flag, and it makes me more interested in looking into it and seeing what is it dealing with. Therefore, I can increase in knowledge and understanding, and also foreknowledge, being forewarned. Let's listen to the rest of it.
In my personal journey, I've come to the conclusion that the biblical worldview best explains the origin of evil and its many symptoms to mankind. It explains human suffering and the inescapable reality of death and decay that we experience in this world. But most importantly, it reveals why mankind has used deception.
Now, if y'all notice, the brother said it explains a lot of things that's going on in our current world as far as dealing with human beings and the nature of human, the evils of mankind. It also explains decay, suffering, and death. You know, and we're going to deal with some of those things today. So that's very vital and very important that we understand that, you know, if you ever want to know what purpose is, or what you're called to do, or what's your purpose, or what administration you have been given, or task you have been given, the Bible reveals that purpose for you. It reveals that for you. It reveals God's plan for man overall, not just you as an individual, as a race, but God's plan for man overall. You know, so let me play it a little bit more till he end that.
As its most powerful and reliable instrument to carry out the plan set in motion by.
Notice he said that the adversary of Satan has used deceit as his most powerful tool to carry out emotion. Watch this.
And ancient hate.
He said a motion of ancient hate. Now, what we're going to deal with today is we're going to show you the New World Order, and we're going to show you the ancient hate where it stemmed from and to where we are now. Very important. These are the people that, you know, that are the elite that hold a lot of the information, a lot of the science, and these people are using these things to basically govern the world or rule over the world. So real quick, I'm gonna get up out of this and. I don't know, brother DeVar, if you want to introduce yourself and let the people know about your show you just had and what you got going on. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, well, I'm Nazir DeVar Amy O's Israel, and you know, I'm a student. I'm a Bible student. I've been a Bible student for years, and you know, I've been on Ustream and things like that. I've been countless. I'm probably one of the main keyboard warriors that you hear about, and the reason why people, the camps don't like people on the internet telling the truth. So I started out on all the other sites online, you know, and just started teaching from there. And I used to battle strictly 100% atheists, you know, white people and stuff like that, until I learned my nationality. Then I realized that it's completely useless to even talk to them. So I don't even deal with them on the regular anymore. So I found out quite a bit of information over the years while I was studying. I found out, you know, a lot about the resources of the earth and why, you know, how they're being hoarded and things like that. You know, basic information that anybody who studied knows now. But I also found out who's a beneficiary over Solomon's resources, the golds, the diamonds, the platinum, the silver, the gems, and art, and things of that nature that he mined and collected over the years. And the powers that be that we're discussing on this show have hoarded those things. And there's a beneficiary over that called, his name is Wolfgang Struck. He's a German national, some old white guy. He's been a beneficiary over it since 1986, and his tenure is up in 2016. It might keep him as the beneficiary, I don't know. But I did a show on reparations in order to get a think tank together, since I found that information the other day, I said we need to get a think tank together to figure out, and get some bright minds together and on one accord, of course, law keepers and stuff like this, in order to address reparations by that method, coupled with some other brilliant people like what's that guy's name, Dr. Anderson, I think his name is, the old light-skinned black guy, got real short hair. You don't know what I'm talking about? Okay. I think his name is Dr. Anderson, if I'm not mistaken. But he doesn't know he's an Israelite. He's sleep himself. But he's been dealing with reparations for years and years and years. So he has a lot of videos that teach you a lot about how to approach the matter. So if everybody gets on one accord and we get a team together. The reason I'm doing it separately from the rest of these people out here that are doing reparations is because we're a nation. So Dr. Anderson said to follow the Native American model, and since they have been awarded reparations, and now have about 250 plus casinos around the world, you know what I mean? They're getting money, and we're not. So we have to approach reparations as a nation, and that's what my show was about.
All right, cool, brother DeBar. And we got the sister on here too. I don't know if she want to introduce herself, but if she do, hey, Sister Love, we got you on here. Introduce yourself and let the people know what you got going, or just say hi, whatever the case.
I'll just tell you guys hello.
Hello.
It's like listening to what you guys have to say and acquiring knowledge.
Alrighty, y'all heard it right there. The sister came in, she's speaking to us and she's supporting us, so that's a blessing right there. So, so we're gonna get off into this and deal with some of these things we're gonna bring forth. And I'm gonna show you this from an ancient perspective, just starting off, because it goes all the way back, whether we like it or not. It's definitely all the way back. And not only does it go all the way back, it's among all the people, and I'm gonna show you why it's among all the people. And the race for survival, the race for preservation, and this is due to the fact of curse or degeneration of something that took place in man. Now I want y'all to understand this, that there is what you call a long war on the supreme intellect, on the Most High, or the one who we call the architect or the creator. There's a war that has been going on before man even came about. And man, when you read the text, it says that one of the things that the creator did when he was creating in the biblical theology, when he was creating, he made everything after its kind and in his likeness. And then when he came down to Genesis 1:26 through 28, he said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness, after our kind, basically. So picture this. Man is made in the image and likeness, and is the closest thing that there is unto an ancestor of who we call the intelligent designer or the Most High. So we want to deal with that. So when we deal with the concept of God within itself, let's get off into the concept of God real quick. That way we won't have no if and no buts about anything. Everything will be shown up here so we can see where it comes from. All right, so get this right here. Grab this. I'm gonna screen share real quick. I like to screen share so y'all can see exactly what I'm seeing. All right, so look, as y'all can see, we pulled it up in the Wikipedia. Jump down to the nitty gritty. Let's go to the etymology of it because I want to jump right to it. It says the earliest written form of the Germanic word God, always in this usage capitalized, comes from the 6th century Christian codex Adretius. The English word itself is derived from the Proto-Germanic Guden. It's the reconstructed Proto-Indo-European form of Gutama, was likely based on the root Gua, or however you pronounce that. I'm not good at pronouncing these words, so if you can read it and you see my screen, then hey, I'm doing the best I can, which meant either to call or to invoke. Understand that, to call or to invoke, and they give you a reference for that. So let's jump down to the reference real good, quick. Let's jump down to 18 right here. The ulterior etymology is disputed apart from the unlikely hypothesis of adoption from a foreign tongue. The Otu Guba implies as it is to a type either Gud Am or Gutam. The former does not appear to omit of explanation. Now watch what he says. But the latter would represent the neutral or the root. There are 2 Aryan roots of the required form Gua. Let me skip that. With one meaning to invoke, and who with the other to pour, to offer sacrifice. I just want to grab that right there real quick. To pour, to call, or to invoke, or to offer sacrifice. And I agree with that. And I'm going to show you why I agree with that. Because when we look at every ancient culture, we have it to where there is invoking, there is calling upon, or pouring out, or sacrificing. So every ancient culture, from an African perspective, Mesopotamian perspective, Indo-European perspective, is we see this taking place. And y'all notice, y'all seen also, because I don't want nobody to get shook up and look at the term Aryan and get shook up and say, well, this is a European KKK or whatever the case may be. Understand that they adopted that. That predates them. You know, when you deal with Aryan also deals with not only it not only deals with Caucasians is in it, it deals with elite people. It means actually noble when you trace the roots all the way back. So it means noble. But people came in and took on those roles as noble people. And, they began to early on try to adopt those concepts of them being the Aryans, noble people in your elite.
I want to add something about Aryan.
Go ahead, brother.
I was reading something, and it was talking about the root races. First root race, third root, second root race. You know what I'm saying? All them root races talk, right? You ever heard that? People talk about that stuff?
Probably so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they say the 5th root race is the Aryan race, right? But they say that it comes out of Shem. It's coming out of Shem. So they've been claiming Shem for all this time because they thought that they were the 5th root race that was going to be the Aryans, which was the master race.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's definitely correct on that. You know, I know what he's talking about. You know, they took on that concept early on.
Yeah.
But, let me get off into the rest of this message. That way I can open up for questions and we can go on dialogue. Because I don't want to be too long. Because I want to watch a movie or something before I lay it down. I don't want to get done with this show and then go lay down and it'd be too late, and then my wife get to tripping in that piece. Yeah, so here it is. So we went to that real quick. Let's go. We finna go in. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we do over here. So we definitely gonna go in. We ain't gonna be too long. You know, a lot of people don't deal with what we deal with, but you know, we deal with the biblical text, and we lined it up with the history. We lined it with archaeology, and we deal with also a lot of futuristic texts as well. All right, so we're gonna screen share again. Once again, we in the word search 7. You got a little echo on the back of the bar. We're in the word search 7. Let me see. Good program. So if y'all want to get this, it got books in it. You know, it got Josephus. I remember one time I did a class and I was looking for somebody to pull up the book of Josephus, and I found out the other day it's actually already in here. So it got a lot of stuff. They got the word search 7-8 already out, and they might have one farther than that. But let me pull this up for y'all real quick. Let's jump to Genesis. That's the first thing we finna get off into. Go to the King James. You see it got split screen. You know, let's go over a little bit. Let's see if we can switch the manner of how we got this. All right, like that. All right, so jump to Genesis chapter 3. This is where it starts at. This is where it began. All right, so we're going to read this down to 5, and then we're going to jump to 17. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. Understand this right here. This is the beginning of a different order from which the Most High have set. He have set order and instructions, for after he made everything that he made, he said it is good, and he did it in a fashionable order, and it was good. And he gave men instructions. But we see here another order is introduced after that other order. It says, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So this is another order. Sisters and brothers, this is what we call the New World Order from ancient times. Now, the brother I let y'all listen to before I came on, he said that there is an ancient hate. And this ancient hate is who we see in this garden. This is the ancient hate that hates God. And he is a God hater, and God is his creator. And he was made with choice, but he chose to walk contrary unto the words of God, as we see Adam succumb to just as well. And he began to hate on God, and therefore when God brought the very existence of something that was in his image and likeness, he immediately began to hate on it. But God permitted and God allowed, because God said he would use him as a tool to basically put man on probation and see, or test man and see if man will succumb those tests. And he will, after he succumb those tests, then he will be able to handle eternal affairs with God. So let's move on. Let's jump down to 17. So we see another order initiated in the picture here. Jump down to 17, Genesis 17. I mean, Genesis 3 and 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou should not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake. And so shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. So now we have an individual where he himself has become fallen and is in the process of decay. He himself as an individual and his wife. Now we see that what takes place, since he himself is cursed and he goes down to the dirt, eventually the Most High said, cursed is the ground for thy sake. Because what was cursed was going down into the dirt. What was to decay was going down into the dirt. So the ground is cursed, and from this point on, he said, thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field, and the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat herb, or shalt thou eat bread, till thou return into the ground. For out of it was thou taken, for thus thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. Understand this, sisters and brothers. Now listen. He is cursed. He's going down to the earth. So therefore the earth is cursed because of his sake, because of his sin and what he did. So therefore this curse enters into the earth, will cause the earth to bring forth thorns and thistles. Sisters and brothers, if you don't know by now, the race for preservation is at this moment. The race for fertile grounds is at this moment. The race for survival is at this moment, because man now will have to deal with a ground that was cursed and will not yield its full strength unto him. He has to deal with that. So if it will not yield its full strength with him, he must travel and he must cultivate other land. And when the climates will change, he must try to basically get somewhere where he can get the ground to yield forth strength, yield forth its strength unto him, that he must bring forth increase in the land. So this is the race for preservation and survival here. So let's deal with that. So this is a war, as we see, that has begun, that when man begins to take on the new world order and he begins to take on this concept, he becomes an enemy of God. And this was the plan or counsel of the adversaries when he came into Adam's paradise. And Adam gave him the deeds and the title to this thing, to this earth. So he became subject unto Lucifer, whereas himself was basically lord over or a administrator of his own house. Now he's subject unto Satan, or the adversary, or the serpent. Let's jump. All right, so let's jump to Genesis 10 and 8, and then we're going to get off into some paperwork. Watch what he says. It says, let's jump up, matter of fact. Jump up. Genesis, jump up. Genesis 10 and 8, I'm sorry. It says, and Cush begot Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty one in the earth. Well, let's see why he was. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. Remember when I told you that famine will take place on the earth, this is after the antediluvian period, and this is actually in the post-diluvian period. The post-diluvian period is after the flood, and now we see the we see more of a drastic climate change. It took place due to the flood and due to the opening of the windows of heaven, which is the canopy possibly, and the ozone layer. We see this taking place. So watch this. Man began to hunt or be hunters, and they begin to be heroes for hunting. Nimrod was one of these. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. He taught people how to fortify cities, as Josephus says in his book. So he taught people how to do these things. And when he taught people how to hunt and do these things, he fortified cities. He became their hero. Because at that time, animals begin to change their diet and they begin to eat each other because of lack of food. And that's the first thing they're going to do. And also lack of water. So just think, in the struggle to survive, migration take place of animals who migrate towards water, looking for food and pasture. And then you have humans just as well. So when you would get to these spots or these rivers or lakes, you will have to go into these places and you will have to be a mighty hunter because your diet was changed just as well and you was eating meat now. So you will have to know how to hunt, and you will hunt these animals and you will take the strength of these animals and you will wear their skins as Nimrod and the ancients did, as we see also bull horns and bull tails and leopard skin coats that they wore. You will get the animals a strength and wear it. And you became a hero unto the people because you was a mighty hunter and you brought food unto the people. So therefore they looked up to you and you was their netta. You was their God or divine one. So therefore you structured your economic system and you structured a political system, and you did it by means of being stronger than the people and bringing them food. This is what took place. So let's look at what Nimrod did. He was a mighty hunter. He was a hero. It says in the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, underline Babel, and Uruk, and Akkad, and Calnai in the land of Shinar. And out of that land went forth Ashur and builded Nineveh. Let's jump to the next chapter, chapter 11. So we see this is Nimrod's kingdom. He built the kingdom. So chapter 11, Moses gets off into what happened in the kingdom. Now understand this. Moses in chapter 10 is dealing with the nations of people. But what he does is he zeroes in chapter 10 and 8, and he starts dealing with Nimrod. So then he jumps over, and when he jumps over, when we call, well, it wasn't no chapters back then. So then afterwards, he started to mention what happened in Nimrod's kingdom. So understand this. The kingdom, I mean, what we see in chapter 10 should actually be after chapter 11. But that's another story. But we're going to deal with it anyhow. Moses is just getting into the details of chapter 10 verses Genesis 10 and 8. He says, and the whole earth was of one language and one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick from stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name. Underline, let us make us a name. Why is it that every time men get together, they want to make a name amongst themselves? Watch this. Lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. This is a straight slap in God's face, because he had already told them to be fruitful and multiply and to scatter the earth, replenish the earth, basically, fill the earth. And this is a straight setback. When you read a little bit about Nimrod and Josephus, he tells you that Nimrod told you to rebel or defy the Most High God and to wage war on God. This is the long war being continued on God by Nimrod and his kingdom. So we had one speech, one religion, one economic system, and also politicians, which was the kings and the priests during this time, because they had priests during this time just as well. Remember, they was taught to sacrifice from Adam down to his sons, Cain and Abel, and so on until we get to now. Noah sacrificed when he got off of the ark. So right here we see a history after the flood of the New World Order being established once again. And the Most High came down and scattered it, and scattered them, and they left off to build because they was confused in their tongues. He scattered their tongues and they was confused. They had no more one tongue, so they left off to build. These are your builders, sisters and brothers. These are your masons right here. These are your ancient builders. These are those that are skilled to build and not just with brick. This is your elite right here. So when we talk about a new world order, chapter 11 explains a new world order, the real Tower of Babel, the real trade center in Shinar and Mesopotamia, the Crescent Fertile, which was the real trade area between Mesopotamia, between Afghanistan and the Persian Gulf and Egypt and up into Europe. This is the real area of trade. So this is the real deal. So watch this. Let's go down. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of man builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. In other words, they won. They one people. They have built this new world order, one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. In other words, he said he went down and he's seeing they're doing the wrong, they're coming together in unity in the wrong way to worship a false religion or a Luciferian religion, a new world order to defy the Most High God and wage war on him. So he said, let us go down and confound their language that they may not understand one another. So he confounded their language so they can leave off for such folly and such foolishness. The Most High not to confound folly and foolishness. He could have went down and slaughtered them all, but he had just gave a flood due to the same fact of a new world order in the antediluvian period or before the flood. So before they can do that again and cause him to be upset and try to get him to break or send a flood or devour them, what does he do? Confuse their languages so they can leave off from doing the folly that they're doing. And once they leave off from doing that folly, then he comes through a nation, which is Israel, to bring or contest the false gods or false deities and to bring those which he lost back into him. As it was told to Abraham when he was brought up out of the Ur of the Chaldeans, and he was told, when he was told, unto thee shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. And thy seed, and in thy seed that is in him shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, so forth and so to speak. Let's jump. Let's deal with some things. Let's look up communism. Let's look up communism, because this is where a lot of these concepts stem from. Look these things up. See. Very important. Let's look it up. I'm looking this up for a reason. The reason why I'm looking this up is because communism is a strict form and concepts, basically, that is totally against the biblical text. And this deals with the New World Order just as well. So we're going to get to that. Watch what it says. In political and social science, communism, Latin, communis, common, universal, is a social, political, economic Understand what he just said. Universal is a social, political, and economic ideology and movement whose ultimate goal is to establish of the communist society, which is a socioeconomic order structured upon the common ownership of the means of production, absence of social classes, money, and state, basically. So we see that a system is set up through communism. And this system basically deals with who is strong and who is not strong and who has the way of strength to establish political means and also economics. And basically dealing with social aspects within also the different classes of the earth. So watch this. Communism includes a variety of schools of thoughts, which broadly include Marxism, anarchism, anarchist communism, and the political ideology grouped around both. Let's look into this a little bit because I want to bring out something about this. Now, if you notice something, I want to bring out this brother right here, Karl Marx. I want to bring out him, and I want to show you how it's structured, how the New World Order in the modern times is structured around these things. Watch this. Bring this out real quick. I'm pretty sure y'all are familiar with the Communist Manifesto 1846. We're going to go through these things. There's 10 things that I want to go through real quick here. This is something that Karl Marx had brought forth, and there's some very interesting things to help us to understand what we're facing now and why we're dealing with a new world order. It says the abolition of private property. Why is that important? That's very important because understand this. Private property is something that is your property, something that goes on your property, and it's something that is controlled by you, basically. So now we see that an ideal is introduced, and when that ideal is introduced, it's basically to control what's on your private property. Get you to have all type of permits, different things. If you want to put certain things on your land, if you want to put a pool on your land, you got to have a permit, or just all of these different permits. And that's another way to gain money just as well, because you have to pay for it. So it's another way to put money back in their pocket. So this is one of the things that he introduced. That's the first thing. The second thing he dealt with was heavy progressive income tax. Heavy, I don't even have to really explain that. For those that know, y'all know almost everything is taxed. Everything. You still pay taxes on your house every year. Taxes on your car every year. Personal property tax. And these ain't one time, these are reoccurring taxes. 3, abolition of rights of inheritance. Rights of inheritance. Y'all already know. I shouldn't have to really explain that. Everything is monitored. Everything basically is up under them. It's like you don't have your own right anymore. Not even your own right to your inheritance. You're fighting for your own inheritance. Four, confiscation of property of rebels. How do you determine what a rebel is? And who determines that? Who determines that? So now they can determine basically what a rebel is according to how they view a rebel. How do you measure that? What are they using to determine a rebel? Is it a person that don't want to pay taxes? Is it a person that doesn't have certain permits that you want him to get? These are the things that they put on us. Watch this. Here it is again. Central bank system. Very important. Central bank system. Why is that important? Because as we see today, we hold up a dollar that is a note, and this note is not actual money. It is used as actual means, but supposed to be money or worth something, but in actuality, it's not. Because if anything was to happen, they still will have the upper hand on us and control of that money. This is not gold or anything, silver or anything. This is not worth anything. It's just a note basically saying that, hey, we promise to pay, or whatever the case may be. Are they debtor of something, basically? So watch this. We deal with also with this note or with this central bank system, how they can cause wars, and also how they can basically crash the market, crash the economy, and cause us to be more indebted to these things. More indebted to them, to the federal system, as we deal with that. So watch this. Let's get off into some more. Government ownership of communication and transportation. Why does the government have their hand in communication and transportation? Very important. Intel, that's why. Intel. So that's very important. Everywhere you go, there's intel. That's why when you see certain security agencies, you see the eye, and then you also see the pyramid. This is the eye of Horus, or the all-seeing eye, so to speak, and this is on your dollar. Some people look at it to mean something else, but it is what it is. I think that's what it is. So we see that taking place. Government ownership of factories and agriculture. Now, why do they have their hand in these factories and agriculture? They're controlling your economics, your resources. They're controlling all of these things. So this is a way of control, what they're doing. Watch this. Government control of labor. All the government jobs, labor, they dictate that, who work and who do this and that. And if you, and see, this is the thing, if you are less fortunate, or if you believe evolutionary tactics, which is survival of the fittest, then you're the inferior one. So you're a class, if you're a black man, to where you're not fortunate to get these jobs. And that's not a attack on the Europeans or the Caucasians at all. That's just the truth of the matter. So watch this. Corporate forms and regional planning. Corporate forms and regional planning. I'm sorry, government. Yeah, corporate forms and regional planning. Very important. Very important. Why do they have their hands in these things? They control all of these things. They control your region. They control all of these things. There's a reason for that. Government control of education. This is the one I want to get at. Hitler said, if you control, Hitler said, if you give me the textbooks and the educational system, he said, I'll control the state. One way that you control the people is control what they're learning, what they're seeing, what's being put before their eyes. This is how you control the people. You control the people by crisis management just as well. What is crisis management? Creating a crisis and then managing it by a solution, causing the people to feel insecure, or not secure. You cause them to not to feel secure, and then you create a solution for them to feel secure. And in this solution, it provides more intel. Because what it does is it invades privacy. Once again, we see that their hand, it deals with the communication of privacy. The government has their hands in technology. Why is that? Phones. Why is that? By means of, because they know we are the biggest consumers, and we put money right back in their pockets. So we see this Communist Manifesto 1846 by Karl Marx and what he initiated. And by the way, Karl Marx, his favorite who he dealt with, who he admired, was Charles Darwin. So communism is nothing but evolutionary believers. Permits for guns. Why is that? Permits for guns because guess what? They can come and take those guns and know who got those guns when it's time to disarm the people and when it's time for martial law, or when it's time to depopulate. Why do you control the agriculture and the food and these different things? Technology. Why? Because they have a scientific equation for you. That they know that eventually that the resources will be used up, and it's a race for survival. So therefore, they have to preserve it. And then, and one of the things, a part of them preserving those things, is to depopulate the earth. Much people are living longer than they're dying. So guess what? Eventually, the resources are going to be liquidated, or the resources are going to be used up. So they had to basically use artificial intelligence. Not artificial food production, and that's not working because the generation is coming forth. As we see when we read early on, the curse is on the land, and the climate is changing and causing famine and degeneration. So therefore, they must preserve all that they can. It's survival of the fittest out here. That's basically what we're dealing with. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with. So let's jump to something else here. Let's talk about bad philosophy. Let me get out of here real quick. Talk about bad philosophy, because some of the brothers got bad philosophy, and we're gonna deal with that. Peace to Brother Neo in the house. I see you. Thanks for coming out. Let's talk about bad philosophy. All right, so look. Evolution within itself is a bad philosophy. I'm starting to see a lot of people starting to philosophize these days. And we want to deal with that. Let me bring out a quick scripture on that. And then we're going to go into some notes here.
What's up, Laura?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's funny you said that. I got this weird Illuminati stupid video. It was fake, but I thought it was pretty funny because what you were talking about, they were saying about draining all the oil resources and building capital, and they like outlined the plan of exactly how they're going to do that. By creating false flag wars and whatever to go over to different countries and take resources. And it sounds simple, but I think it's a lot deeper than that. It's definitely getting there.
Yeah, definitely getting there.
Did you ask me for an invite the other day, or was that you or somebody else?
Yeah, it might have been. If I did a show, then I might have invited you because you know when I do it, I go out to everybody. So it might have been, I'm not sure.
I didn't know if you came on my channel. I had a room going, and I thought I had maybe seen you mention for me to invite you next time or something. I don't know if that was you or somebody else, though.
Yeah, it probably was somebody else because I haven't been over there in a minute. As I get to the house, by the time I get to the house, yeah, I'll be probably done with it.
True.
I'm up on my data a lot, so I'll be trying to stay off a little bit until I get to the house.
And you were talking about GMOs. I thought that was funny. I was just watching that stupid viral video where the kid the shoes and stuff. I was like, GMOs, what are those? You heard that what are those thing? The kid's talking about some other kid's shoes, and it's like a new fad to point at somebody's shoes and go, what are those?
Yeah, so, you know, it's out here. You know, like I said, I appreciate the brother coming on. So let me finish up, and then we're going to open up. The brother Neo be having some good good information and some good hangouts. So we be catching up with the brother sometimes. So for those that is on the panel that want to subscribe to his channel, he got a channel also.
Thank God, praise God, Jesus' name, all that, you know. Everybody, love everybody in the world.
Yeah, so he got that stuff going on. But let's go ahead. All right, so it says 1 Corinthians 2 and 3. It says, and I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit of power. So let me bring out something real quick. Let me jump to something real quick. Let me bring out that to y'all. I'm a screen share this real quick, and then we're going to jump to some notes, but I got to screen share this. I got to do it. Hold on. Alright, so 1 Corinthians 2. Let's jump down to jump down to 4. Jump down to 4. Is this what I'm trying to go to right here? Let's jump to 1. Jump back up to 1. Jump back up to 1. Let's look up this word real quick. All right, so here, this is what we're going to do. It says, and I, brethren, when I came into you, this is Paul saying when he came into them, into the Corinthians, I came not with excellency of speech or wisdom. Watch what he's finna say. Declaring unto you the testimony of God. Not with excellency of speech or wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of God. He didn't come with those things. But watch what let's bring this out. Let's look at wisdom, what he says.
Uperahe.
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 And watch what it deals with. It's use of excellency, 1, authority, 1, total count twice, right? So watch what he says. Prominence, superiority in rank or character, authority or excellency, right? So look what it says. Watch this. Jump back.
Yeah.
So basically what he's saying is he didn't come, hold on. He didn't come with words of no type of, let me bring this up real quick. Hold on. Mine ain't rendering it like it should. Yeah, mine's this does not render it like it should, so let me pull this up real quick. It says elevation, superiority, or meta excellence. Why am I bringing that up? He says prominence, figuratively, superiority in rank or character, authority, excellency, elevation, preeminence, meta excellence, basically. So what he's saying is this: I didn't come to you dealing with metaphysics, or I didn't come to you dealing with preeminence or anything to be superior over you. Nothing figurative. I didn't come to you dealing with any of these things. Watch what he says. For I determined not to know anything among you save Jesus Christ and him crucified. So he came to them preaching Christ crucified. And that was it. Nothing with the wisdom of this world or with figurative speech, metaphysics, or any of those things that was based upon worldly principles. None of those things. And last but not least, let's jump to Colossians. And he says the same thing.
Yeah, that's one thing that gets me is the Bible does repeat itself very many times.
Exactly. So it says in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, so every word be established. So wherever you can't find it again, you always gonna find something else. But this one right here, I wanna let me see, where is it at? I think it's 2 and 8. Watch what he says. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit. Let's look that up.
Philosophia.
Philosophy, special Jewish philosophy, basically. So y'all know already what that is, so it is what it is. And vain deceit. After the traditions of man, after the rudiments of the world. Let's look up rudiments real quick.
Stoicheon.
Neutral of a presume. What is it? Something orderly and arrangement. Amplification, a serial, basal, fundamental, initial. Proposition, figurative, element, principle, or rudiment. I'm going to say, it says up here, elements, principles, or rudiments, basically. So basically, look, he says, after the rudiments or principles of this world, and not after Christ. So we see that. So he says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy, vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the principles or rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. And this is why Paul preached more so Christ than anything. So watch this. Let's go on from this and let's jump to some notes here. And then we're going to be finished. Alright, so look. Philosophy. Bad philosophy. There's some good philosophy, but there's bad philosophy. The worldview of evolution makes the following philosophy seem true, right? So watch this. I'm gonna list 7 of these. Number 1, man is just an animal. I want to elaborate on that, because if man is just an animal, then we deal with animal instincts, and he acts like an animal, right? So think about that. So evolution is a philosophy and also a tactic to justify racism, because when you look at it, it's the favorite races.
Yeah, the preservation of favored races was the subtitle to Darwin's book.
Definitely. So the brother got it, and he know it exactly already. So watch this. And who is the favorite races? So
yeah, definitely not everybody that Hitler killed off.
Exactly. So we know that. So it says, only the strongest have the right to survive. So if you're stronger than the people, then you're going to control the economics, and you are the politicians to control those economics and those resources, and you also control that land. You control all of those things. So then we have number 3. Might makes right. If you got the strength and you powerful than the next man, and you able to take what he has, you take it to be preserved and for survival. The 4th, inferior should be eliminated for the good of the species. I know. All right, let me do my class. Thanks. I'll get it back in a minute. Yeah, just leave it there. So, sorry. Oh, you're all right. So, it says that, let me see, where was we at?
You can also think about Margaret Sanger, who wanted to kill off the black population through evolution and Planned Parenthood. But yeah, that's a different subject we'll cover a different day. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and we'll definitely bring that up because we're finna open up and cut questions after I get done with these. So, you know, I know the brother got more of the information than me, and it's very important information. So, inferior should be eliminated for the good of the species. So, if you are inferior to someone, you basically eliminated that person who you was inferior to. Whether if it was millions of peoples, as we see took place and happened, or you. And one of the things you do, how you do this is, especially in the modern times, is you de-arm, or you unarm the people. And one of the ways you do that is through registrations of firearms. You know exactly where to go get them from. So therefore, your right to conceal or your right to carry is null and void for reals. So then you see, one of the races of humans must be superior to the rest. We see that taking place in the ancient times up until now, amongst the black races, amongst the Semitics, amongst the Europeans. All these different empires have succeeded each other, and they all have been on the same thing, to conquer each other, or either you come up under their banner, they come in and take your resources, and they take they deliver their customs to you, or they take on some of your customs. So we see this taking place, and we see it now. The biblical text say we're in the time of the Gentiles, which is the sons of Japheth, which are the rulers who are in control right now in the European races, and not just the European, but the correlation between the Europeans and the Asiatics, as we see, and the different people coming into the earth. I mean, coming together and making this correlation. So then we have protection of the world and the environment is the ultimate duty of man, because we are the highest evolved animal, basically. Once again, you have evolved more than the rest of the people, so you have to protect and preserve everything. So you are the politicians, or you are the supreme rulers of those things. You have evolved, you have the technology, you have the weapons, and might is right, basically. So then we have the last one. The last one is, there can be no absolutes regarding right and wrong. Very important. Morality. Who determines what's right and wrong? Do the government determine what's right or wrong? Do the biblical text has a sole authority? What's determined right and wrong now? What do we measure right and wrong by? Do we measure by the self-consciousness of man, which is aware of what is good and evil? We know the self-consciousness of man can be seared. Therefore, his good, what he thinks is good, can be actually bad. So therefore, written law is very important. And we see that those laws are subject to change, and they're being changed. So with that being said, I just wanted to bring those out. Hopefully, some people out there got some understanding of the New World Order concepts about dealing with, why they have their hand in certain information and agriculture and communism and these different things. So with that being said, the panel is open. So, if you brothers feel led to say something, you can go ahead and do so now.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you to go back to a question. What was, I mean, the thing you said about exterminating the weaker population or races or whatever you were saying, number 3 or whatever.
Number 4, inferior should be eliminated for the good of the species.
Margaret Sanger said that, almost word for word. Said that right out of her mouth. For the bettering of the species. That's what she used. So we should exterminate the black population with all this other stuff. So
there it is. So I got the information. Y'all can go look that up. And let me show y'all something too real quick, just to bring that up. But you Brother DeBarge, you got something to say while I'm pulling this up. Go ahead.
Man, what I'm saying, that lesson was ridiculously detailed and accurate. You know, and then you talk about Japheth. You know, you got me convinced that Japheth is, you know, they are the Isles of the Gentiles and they're the ones ruling. But that's a deeper lesson when we're talking about the Israelite stuff. But what I'm saying is that as far as their mentality, right? I believe, based on what you're talking about, right, that we have ignored, the meek have ignored that mentality, while they have embraced it and found any type of way possible to eliminate as many people as they want to, you know, as they choose to. So, you say choose none of the ways of the heathen, right? But at the same time, are we being too passive and by not embracing that mentality? Is my question that I haven't answered fully, you know, while you were doing that.
I think that if you read the biblical text, you know what it says. Remember when they was in the wilderness, and they was finna go up into war, and they was finna go into the land of Canaan, and some of the children of Israel got rebellious, and they wanted to take the land, go up into the land without moving when the Most High told them to move. And when they moved and they went up into that mountain of the Amorites ran them down and killed a lot of them. And the Most High had told them before they went up that hill, he said, if you go up that mount, said, I'm not going up there with you. He said, you're going to fall before your enemy. My answer to that is if we move out of position without waiting on the Most High, the meek of the earth, they always know how to move in time and in season. Because you got to realize that the majority of people, we see when we look at Karl Marx and we see what he put forth and this and what he wrote and what he was dealing with, is not only to oppress. It was not only just to oppress the blacks, but also people of common class. It was the low of the earth. Everybody basically who doesn't have the means of strength, doesn't have the means to go about or get anything do for themselves, and that aspect of how they go out and get minerals and the resources and go out in war and put forth a technology to war to win battles. These are the ones that's been heavily taxed. These are the ones that are classified in the population, and therefore it's segregated off. And when these things take place, then it causes oppression on the people. But it mainly starts with the people who's inferior before anything, and then it trickles down. But this has been going on since the ancient times, because as y'all see, can y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
And when y'all look at my screen, I got here the normal palette, right?
Uh-huh.
And when you look at this normal palette, this palette is a matter of fact, let's look it up. Let's look at it real quick. Let's look at it real quick. The normal palette, also known as the Great.
Yesterday you called him Nimrod.
Exactly. Yep. So, and that deals with aspect of Nimrod. Well, he definitely was related to him if he wasn't Nimrod. It says the Harkanopolis palette or number. Palette was used something for as a makeup or a cosmetic mixture kit. That's why if you look on the circle over here on the right, to palette to the left, this is the back side of it. This is the backside. It's not two of them. This is just the backside of it. And here's the backside, and it has a circle in the middle. This is where they would put their lapis lazuli, their makeup or minerals, and crush it up in here, and then dab it and put on their makeup or, in that area, or painting or something like that. So this is that's what a palette is. A cosmetic. This with cosmetic plate. So watch this. It says it says dating from about the 31st century BC, so about the 4th millennium BC, containing some of the earliest hieroglyphic inscriptions ever found. It was thought by some to depict the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt under the king Narmer. On one side, the king is depicted with the bull above white crown. He has on the upper crown, which is southern Egypt, and the other side depicts the king wearing the level red crown, and along with the scorpion mace head and Narmer mace head. And this is in northern Egypt, right? So as we see, when we look at some of these places that the Egyptians ruled at in Upper Egypt, they ruled in Nekhuf, Nut, and these different places. They ruled on gold mines. So when they ruled on gold mines, they ruled on rally routes. There was routes that ran from the Red Sea unto their kingdoms, and ran through the mountains, and this is where they got their minerals from. So they controlled these mountains and controlled these areas where they got their minerals from and where they got their gold from. So they set their kingdom on these spots. So here we see an economic move just as well, and we see a politician move, because as we see, let's look at the palette again. Let's look at it again. Watch what we see. We see Narmer. And what Narmer is doing is he has a pear-shaped mace in his hand. By the way, the pear-shaped mace originated from Mesopotamia. So he's possibly, they say he might be an Asiatic god, Asiatic pharaoh in pre-dynasty Egypt. So watch this. Watch what he does. He has on the southern cap, the Ensu cap, which is the southern cap, meaning that he's the ruler of southern Egypt. So if you see where he has his enemy, he has him by the head, look like an Asiatic with his beard and with the nose, whatever the case may be, right? But then we look at also up under his feet, we have the servants up on his feet. They're fleeing, and here's a little town with the little brick right here beside them or whatever. And then behind him we have the sandal bearer. He's the one who bears the sandals of the pharaoh. He's considered of high rank too, just as well. So then we have right here, we have the Horus, and then we have Horus, and he's standing on marsh, and he has a servant with a rope and the hook, and hooks into his nose. That means he has taken captives this marshy land, and it possibly these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lilies, which is a southern Egypt, what's called could be, which is a southern Egypt motif. It could be that he has taken 6,000 captives, and this is an economic and a political move. Watch this, what he does. This is the northern cap. The northern cap, if we look at it, let's zoom in on it a little bit more, move it over. If we look at it, hold on. If we look at it, let me scoot it over a little bit. If we look at this palette, what we see here is Narmer. We see a sandal bearer once again behind him. This flower behind him, this means the servant of the king. This vessel, this is a flower pot. It means the servant of the king. He has a vessel behind him because this is what he used in his hand, his water vessel. This is what he used to clean the feet of Narmer. So he's a servant of the king. He's of high rank. He's a priest. I believe he is a priest, matter of fact. He washes the feet of the king, and he's a priest, I believe. And so when we look at it, here's Narmer's name with the catfish. This is an indication of the Nar that's in his name, which I believe that most time when they gave names, and we dealing with catfish, which means he was a great sailor just as well. I believe he was. And then we deal with his wife that's in front of him, which I believe that is his wife, but that's debatable. So we deal with the rope and the bread right here. Then we deal with, what do we have here? We have his netters. We have his standards, his gods. So this is his religion right here. This is Heru. I think this is behind him. I think his name is, I want to say Sokar, I believe. And then you have what's the gate, the way, this Osir. No, it's not. This is not Osiris. I forgot his name. Wild Wet. I think it's Wild Wet, and he's the one who leads you into the way of the desert or through the desert. He guides you, and then this is the they say this is the royal placenta that's on the stick of the pharaoh, but I think this is actually balled up animal skin. For me personally, that's what I think. You know what I'm saying, and that's most scholars have said the same thing, right? So what we have here, we have him marching with his religion, right? They always come in religion. They come, you always gonna see people come with their religion before anything. What we have here before him is the decapitated heads. We see decapitated heads. We see of his enemies, right? So we see these heads and the bodies, and then we see the heads between his legs, basically. So when we're dealing with this, we seeing that something is taking place here to where some land has been taken, as we see on the other side of the palette, and we see that this strong king is basically setting up some type of system by way of war. And I bet it's through economics and resources, because we know that's what they was doing. He was uniting the northern and the southern, and also he was establishing a correlation or a trade route between Mesopotamia and also Upper and Lower Egypt in the Nile Valley. Right here, this is a Mesopotamian motif. This is your Sarapod. This originated out in Mesopotamia. We have seals that predates this religious motif of these mythical animals, and they're being tamed. See them being tamed? What is this?
Yeah, why you call them mythical when they look like dinosaurs?
Well, that's what they call them. That's what they call them. I'm just making it references what they call them mythical. But in actuality, they probably was because they depicted these things right here. So that's what it probably was.
Okay.
So we have them being tamed, and then we see also that these are Asiatics with the afros or whatever the case may be. They are either coming into the Nile Valley native. Usually, native Africans that was in the land. That was in the land of Kemet. They didn't have beards, So possibly these are Asiatics for the most case, and they're coming in, and we see them controlling the animals. This is symbolic of mastering balance just as well, and also the intertwined necks deals with the connection between Mesopotamia and also Egypt, and we see much trading going on in this 4th millennium period, where Mesopotamian culture came into or influenced the Nile Valley civilizations. So then we see right here, we see the strong bull. The strong bull represents the king. He's treading the city. This is a city right here. This is the bricks, and this is a servant. He's treading the city right here. The strong bull represents the king. How do we know that? So it's right here. Look. The bull's tail. Yeah, the bull's tail, top left up here. Just as well. Sometimes they say that with Bat, which is the Egyptian god, bull. But I think that it's more than that, because I have a lot of information that says it is more than that. That the strong bull represents the king, and what it is. Once you will go into these animals. Once you will go and conquer these animals, you will get the strength of these animals, and you will wear their garments. As we see the bull's tail on him, just as well. We see his belt, which deal with the bull emblems. Let's go on a little bit more. Hold on.
Is that a falcon, or what kind of bird is that?
I believe that's a falcon. Hey, Horus. Horus.
Right.
He comes. Norma comes from, or the Egyptian gods. They come from the house of Horus. In the house of Horus, his mother is Hathor, supposedly.
So you said Norma is from the house of Horus. So he's younger. He's younger than Horus.
Well, yeah. He's from the house. Yeah. We really don't too much know anything of, Heru or the Netta. If was he an actual person? I believe he was. I'm not really sure on that. But
I got you on that. But it's another lesson that talks about Horus a lot. They talk about the Falcon clan and all that stuff. And then you say Norma is from the house of Horus. That makes a lot of sense.
House of Hathor, or either that is symbolic for the desert just as well, because she was Western Sahara, and then she was also in the east.
Yeah, that's why you have because that bull head at the top, at the top on both sides is Hathor.
Yeah,
you got it on the west side and the east side, because of course, like you said, these are kingdoms, and you got the gate in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So you got Hathor on the west and the east.
Yeah. Well, what this is right here is this is basically the Serek facade, and inside of the Serek facade, this is what mainly they did their little building structures. Inside of the Serek facade, we have the Norma, once again the catfish and the chisel, basically.
Okay.
This is his name. Well, so I just wanted to bring out that real quick, and this is basically dealing with them coming in and they establishing the economic system and the political system, and basically taming the resources. As we see, they built their gold mine. I mean, they built their kingdoms on gold mines. I just wanted to bring that out. If I was talking too fast and I made a mistake, hey, correct me later on, because I was talking too fast trying to get through this for the most part. You know, and I didn't have my notes. I was just freestyling off the top of my head. So,
but you said at the end of the reading on the back side of the palette, the king is treading down the city. And do we know what city it is?
I'm not sure. I think there's I don't want to but there is some information that there's some information that's on that seal, on that palette. And I have my reason to believe that they was coming up against the king of meeting. I got a book here somewhere. Matter of fact, it's upstairs.
Media Persia.
Medan. It was a king that was in I believe, I want to say that he was in northern Egypt.
So
but
the man being trampled was a king or a servant?
You said the land being trampled. He was taking over a king and his servants.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So mainly, man, I'm finna get ready to get up off of here.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch the movie, right?
Yeah. So, man, I appreciate you, DeVar, coming on now. I appreciate you brothers watching. Like I said, the last information I gave you, I wish I could have had my notes. I basically freestyle. I don't really, I go back and listen to it and see all what was said. If it was some things that need to be corrected, then, corrected for the most part. But, when you're dealing with the Egyptian text and dealing with the palettes and stuff, it's best to have your notes before you so you can be accurate with what you're saying. But I didn't at that time, and I hate that I didn't. But I just wanted to show y'all people a political, economic movement as we see on that palette going on amongst the people, and not only amongst the people, but for those that's out there saying that that this wasn't going on until the Caucasian came in, you lying. They've been born amongst themselves before then. So with that being said, I want to say peace to y'all, Brother DeVar. Say peace.
Well, thank you for having me, man, and go ahead and check out my reparations show whenever you get an opportunity, and because I need brilliance like yourself in helping with that particular cause. You know what I mean? And you can spend a little bit of time on that. You don't have to spend your full ministry on it, but you know what I mean. Give me a little bit of time for that, because I think that's very important. And it's based on what you said here and yesterday. I listened to the show yesterday, and I listened to Miguel, what's his name? Mikael
Ben Israel.
Right. I listened to his show as well, and a lot of stuff that y'all were talking about is in the reparations situation that I did today. I mean, inadvertently. You know what I mean? Because that's what they've been doing from the beginning. It's been a slave class since Adam gave his power to Satan, like you said, and it's been that perpetual hatred all throughout. And then what they've been doing is following the elect, because they can't touch the elect, so they just surround them and tighten the noose as much as they can to try to get to the elect until they take a piece of bait and fall off, so they can touch them finally.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, man, we definitely gonna check out your information, man. Probably first thing tomorrow morning, man. On here, lay on down, probably later on tonight, because I'll be up late after I watch this movie with her, satisfied, and then, back to what I need to be doing. Yeah,
Okay.
peace and blessings to everybody out there listening in. I appreciate y'all listening in. Subscribe to the channel down below. Peace and blessings to y'all. And may the Most High bless y'all households, and hopefully the information that I brought to y'all today is something that will increase you in knowledge and also will help you to apply the wisdom. And also we're going to be dealing with tactics and stuff that what we need to do actually to basically overcome certain things that we're dealing with in the New World Order, and a better way to preserve ourselves just as well. So with that being said, I just want to say peace to everybody out there and blessings.